Hello and welcome. You're tuned into the best in true crime talk radio. This is True Crime Tuesday. I'm your host, Dave Schrader, along with me, Tim Dennis. Our guest had a family emergency today and would not be able to join us, so we have decided to give you a full episode of Dumb Crimes, Stupid Criminals. And Tim, the world has not let us down with the stupidity this week. As a matter of fact, there's a plethora of idiots out there, and I'm going to be honest with you, there's some just weird stories, a lot of dirty people out there doing dirty things this last week. So I'm giving you the heads up on this. The first half of the program is available to all of you that tune into Darkness Radio. If you'd like to hear the complete episode, make sure that you subscribe to Stitcher Premium. It's only $5, and that is for the entire month. That gets you access to all of our True Crime Tuesday programs, all of our Darkness Radio programs, all commercial free. And that's not all, Tim.
No.
Not only do they get Darkness Radio and True Crime Tuesday, they get all the great content that's part of Premium Stitcher or Stitcher Premium, depending on if you're Yoda or not. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of fantastic programming on here for $5 a month. It gets you all of these programs commercial free. But you're going to get the first half of the show free because we like you. So if you are just listening to this on Darkness Radio, you'll get the first half an hour absolutely free, and you get to listen to it right here on Darkness Radio. For those of you that are subscribers to the premium, you're going to get the entire episode. So thank you very much for subscribing. Tim, you said you had a weird story come up this week, not really under the true crime blanket. And since we have a couple other strange stories to kick off, why don't you begin with that?
Well, I think actually it is under true crime. But it was in a weird format. I was kind of dialing around yesterday and I ran across Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel on HBO. And for those of you who have a HBO Max and can go back and play it on demand, I encourage you to do so. And what it was a lot of times, you know, a hot topic has been with the police forces around the country has been restraint of potential suspects. And what Bryant Gumbel went into was that the Grace Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Academy has now teamed up with different police forces around the country in using Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in restraining potential suspects. And in doing so has not only successfully done this and lowered the risk and injury to potential suspects. But believe it or not, Dave, and this is what was amazing about this story, lowered the risk and injury to police officers, which was astounding. And
that's great.
Yeah. And has built back in I believe it was it Royce Gracie, who's the head of the Institute and was doing the interview, said that the goal here with this program is to build back the rapport between the community and the police department. And they showed this in action. So not only did they show the training of these police officers, and where it's in effect right now and where they're doing this is in Marietta, Georgia. So they've launched this between Gracie Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Marietta, Georgia's police force. This program is in full effect now. And since they've done this, the Marietta, Georgia police force has saved $70,000 in medical bills based on incidents between the police department and suspects. And this is in police force injuries. So that's been wiped away. That's medical injuries to police officers in these scuffles with potential suspects.
That's great just in itself.
Right. So that's off the board. Also, you'll see something in this article, in this story that will absolutely astound you. And I sat there with my mouth open, and they don't just show one incident of this. They show multiple incidents of this. And they get the perspective from the police officer, and they show you the body cam. And Dave, this will leave your mouth agape when you see it. So the police officer or officers are in pursuit of this potential suspect. One man is mentally ill. It has no clothes on at one point and is not, he's manic. He's not responding. They managed to subdue him with a simple Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu hold. And as they do so, they just gently tap him on the shoulder and tell him, it's okay. It's going to be all right. You're fine. We're just going to let you up slowly here. And as they do so, they just gently cuff him. They bring him to his feet and they put him in the car. You've never seen anything like it in your life. No guns were drawn. No punches are thrown. Nothing. It was just soothing, calming, put him in the car. And they show this multiple times throughout this story. And it's the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Institute that's teaching these police officers, okay, it's getting the suspect in this hold, and it's not a sleeper hold. Don't get anything wrong, or a chokehold or anything like that. It's just getting them in this hold, relaxing them, and reassuring them that everything is fine, everything is okay. The next step is just a nice, peaceful step, and we're going to get through this together.
I wonder if they'd be willing to come over and do that to me at night, because I've been having trouble sleeping at night. And if they could just calm me down like that, I'd pay for that. That would help pay for the time somebody does get injured, just in the money they'd raise from us that are willing to let the cops talk us to sleep.
Well, there you go. And what's interesting, now they do have an opposing view in the story. Believe it or not, the opposing view in the story is a weird one. And that, in as far as our local angle goes, was a man, or I should say a former officer and a consultant who does specialize in a discipline of martial arts. I don't remember which discipline it was, but he also testified in the Derek Chauvin trial, who believes that all of this could go, of course, he's taking the cynical side, that if it's not taught by Gracie's BJJ Institute, that it all could go astray, or one of these cops could learn. Of course, he's playing the negative Nancy in this, that it could go deadly and astray, and that they could only learn half of the jiu-jitsu, and they could use their own variety of it, and this and that and the other thing. I think he's kind of taking it to extremes that we don't need to take it to, because if you complete the training in itself the way that you're completing it, or the way that because they're tailoring basically the BJJ to an arrest. So they're showing these cops, okay, this is how you subdue the suspect, and then this is how you handcuff them. It's taking them from the jiu-jitsu to actually using it functioning to subduing the suspect and then bringing them all the way to the car. But it's showing them also how to do it with proper respect. But not.
That's great. But of course, you always are going to have naysayers. You could come up with the most passive way to do it, and somebody's going to bitch and whine that it's, well, what if they've got an allergy to flowers? If you're offering them a flower instead of beating them, you're going to find somebody that complains about it all. But that's awesome that they're taking legitimate steps to find alternative ways to handle these cases.
Right.
It'll be interesting to see how they play out in more violent situations, or in situations where,
well, here's what's interesting.
A weapon is pulled. It's
in that story. All the question, and that's why I say I encourage people to go watch the story. It's in the story that they point out the statistic of actual violent force, because they ask at one point they asked the head of police there in Marietta, Georgia, how many violent incidences do you have a year? And he said it's like 3%, or how many, or no, what was it? How many cops actually pull their gun a year in a violent incident? And they said probably 3 of our officers have pulled a gun this past year. And they said, well, how many of them have struggles with a suspect? And they said almost every one of our cops have had a violent incident where they've had to tussle with a suspect, but no weapon was drawn. So they're saying that's great. Jiu-jitsu it comes in more handy, because rarely do they have to pull their weapon, but they have unlimited time down at the range to use the weapon and to sight it in, where they may rarely use it. So it's this jiu-jitsu that's going to help them subdue a suspect before it becomes violent, where they actually have to throw a punch or hogpile on someone, or get to a point where they are using a deadly chokehold that may take someone out.
Right.
Yeah. So
very cool. Well, check that out. You said it was with Brian Gumbel.
Yeah, Real Sports with Brian Gumbel. If you have HBO Max, you can watch it on demand. It just aired. I saw it on a live airing Monday. So Monday afternoon. So it's available from this past week, and it's a feature on the Marietta, Georgia Police Department and Royce Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Very cool. Well, this Florida police officer probably could have used that training, Tim.
Okay.
A Florida police officer was arrested Sunday after an alleged altercation outside a sports bar in New Smyrna Beach, Florida. The officer has been accused of punching a man whose wife rebuffed earlier advances that the officer made inside the establishment. According to an arrest report the New Smyrna Beach Police Department provided to Newsweek on Monday afternoon, authorities identified the accused officer as Nazi Takazulu. Edgewater Police confirmed in an email to Newsweek that Takazulu was an officer with their department. The incident occurred shortly after midnight on Sunday at Peanuts Restaurant and Sports Bar in New Smyrna Beach, not far north of Edgewater in Volusia County and northeast of Orlando. Neither the men Takazulu allegedly punched nor the individual's wife were publicly identified in the report. The arrest report said that Takazulu began interacting with the woman inside Peanuts while she was singing karaoke with her sister. While Takazulu placed his hands on the woman's hips, she told him she was married and just not interested in his attention, according to the arrest report. After Takazulu persisted, the woman went outside to talk with her husband. The couple told the NSPBD. They were then approached by Takazulu outside, who showed them his badge and said, "I'm a cop. What are you going to do about it?" Takazulu allegedly punched the woman's husband multiple times before authorities arrived.
Jeez.
The officer was arrested and charged with misdemeanor battery, according to the NSBPD. Takazulu was then taken to Volusia County Branch Jail following his arrest. According to the report, he has been released on bond Monday morning, according to local news station WKMG-TV. The Peanuts bouncer later told authorities the man whom Takazulu allegedly attacked did not start anything, according to the arrest report. During the altercation, the man fell and landed on a flower pot. The reporter said he did not accept an offer from responding officers to receive medical treatment for his injuries, which consisted of a cut on the bridge of his nose and on his left eye. Takazulu worked for the Daytona Police Department before joining the Edgewater Police Department last September. The police department said in a statement shared with Newsweek that Takazulu is on suspension as the department's investigation into the altercation proceeds. It says something to you that he was with another station recently and then moved. Mm-hmm. That's what happens a lot, is they'll move the problem children.
Yeah. Yep.
But maybe if he would just learn that Brazilian method, he could have just calmed the husband down and then still slept with the wife. I don't know.
Put him in a nice restraining hold and then done his business and left. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Very strange, though. Speaking of strange, I told you we got a lot of perverts and weirdos in the news this week. Mm-hmm. And this is a follow-up story, Tim, a follow-up on a true crime tale from 2 years ago. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
A man who sued his parents after they threw out his pornography and sex toy collection has been awarded more than $30,000. That's according to the Associated Press. The parents of David Working, 43, must now pay their son $30,441 after they discarded his pornography collection, which he claimed was worth nearly $29,000. Additionally, the couple has to pay $14,519 to Working's attorney, Miles Greengard, according to MLive reported. Greengard did not immediately return people's requests, though, for comment following the verdict. The development comes 8 months after the U.S. District Judge Paul Maloney of Michigan initially ruled in favor of Working. Now, according to court documents previously obtained by People, Working moved to Michigan in 2016 in order to live with his parents, Paul and Beth Working, after going through a divorce, and did chores to cover his rent until moving to Indiana 10 months later. When his parents brought his belongings to his new home, Working noticed boxes containing his pornography and sex toys were missing. An attorney for the couple did not immediately respond to People's request for comment either. Working asked about the missing items in January of 2018, and his father informed him, "We destroyed them. I don't think that you have been listening to me, so let me make this very clear. I do not possess your pornography," Paul admitted in an email included in the lawsuit. "It is gone. It is either destroyed or disposed of. I may well have missed a few items that are now in your possessions, but at this point, if you don't have it, it's gone. Ditto for your sex toys and smutty magazines." He added, "We counted 12 moving boxes full of pornography, plus 2 boxes of sex toys, as you call them. We began that day the process of destroying them, and it took quite a while to do so."
Oh,
do you think
God.
Dad was like feeding them through the chipper shredder?
That would be that. You know how thick those magazines are. That would take a little
not.
bit. Yeah, I mean,
You'll have to tell me.
Sure, right. Yeah, you've never seen one of those.
The real travesty, Tim, is in the loss, because inside the boxes were such cinematic classics as Lesbians in Tight Shorts,
Oh my.
University Coeds 25, and 1001 Erotic Nights, according to a list provided by the man in the lawsuit. In a series of email exchanges, Working's father insisted that he did his son a big favor by ridding him of the items, saying it would improve his emotional and mental well-being. Here's the thing. I don't know. You know what? As a parent, you kind of have this unspoken rule of trying to watch out for your children, even though they may be adults. If they left behind a bunch of things that left you feeling uncomfortable, I guess you get rid of it. I wonder how many people, now that this lawsuit has happened, are going to go back and sue their parents for the millions of dollars in comic books and collectible records and vinyl that have been destroyed or sold off during the years.
Right? Because let's face it, there's some true Shakespeare sitting there. I mean, Lesbians in Tight Shorts alone is worth the price of admission. Mm-hmm. And you're right about the comics and vinyl and all the stuff that's been thrown out over the years. I also, speaking of stories and stuff that I've watched over the past day, trading cards alone. Did you know that there's one millionaire that has been investing in baseball and football cards because alone, Dave, it has out-traded the S&P over the last 20 years?
Wow.
Yeah, trading cards.
You want to hear the most heartbreaking thing in the world to me?
What's that?
And you'll understand this feeling.
Okay.
I began collecting comic books at the tender age of 5. I began realizing the worth and collectability at the age of 7. I began boarding and bagging my comics, putting them in boxes, taking excellent care of my comic books. I would read them, sheathe them, and put them away. Right? Realizing I had some of the best comics. I had Amazing Fantasy 15, the first appearance of Spider-Man.
Yep.
I had Spider-Man number 2, 5, 7, and then from there, I think I had every Amazing Spider-Man comic book. I have got, I think it's 20 or 22 long boxes of comic books. People are asking, well, so what, Dave? What does this have to do with anything? Well, folks, here's the deal. I collected those comic books for the better part of my life, 25, 30 years. And I eventually had to stop because comic books got to the point that they were $4 an issue.
Oh,
right?
They're more than that now.
Yeah, but I was saying that's when I stopped. When it got to like $2.99, $3.99 an issue, I had children and a life to take care of. I couldn't justify comic books at that point, and I stopped collecting. But that's okay, because really the more modern comic books have not done much in retaining value, except for a few hits every now and again. But here's the kicker. For 2 years, I worked at my buddy's comic book shop when I was like 30, 31, 32. It was just a lark to have some fun. He was letting me have my comic books in exchange for filling in for him for a couple hours on the weekend so he and his wife could get out. And sometimes he would pay me in boxes of Pokemon cards. And I had, at one point, Tim, 4 complete sets of Pokemon cards.
Oh, my gosh.
Complete sets, holograms and everything. Okay. Had all 4 complete sets plus random bits. And I just went, and as I did this, I watched my comic books get devalued and devalued and devalued because the comic book market fell apart. Now I'm a bitter man, because now you can buy most of these comics digitally for $1.99. And that's how kids are reading them these days. That's how people are doing. You can collect all the comics I have that are taking up a chunk of my garage.
Oh, but
you can now have on a tablet.
I'm waiting for the delicious irony at the end of this story. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So here's the kicker. So what happens? I give those Pokemon cards to my son, who then takes them to school and sells them for 25 cents a piece. Do you know that some of the full complete sets of the first generation of Pokemon cards are now selling for insane amounts? Individual cards are selling for as high as $35,000 for a goddamn Pokemon card. I had 4 complete sets plus tons of others. My son sold them for $0.25 a piece.
Oh,
I have I have a lifetime of collecting comic books, and I tried to sell them when things got tough. A few years back, I had a comic book guy come take a look, and I was offered $25 a long box. I'm like, are you high? There's several hundred in each box. He's like, that's what they're selling for. No, they're not. And I shopped them around, and I was getting between 25 to 30 bucks an offer per long box. Didn't matter what was in the long box. That's all they were offering. And it's heartbreaking. And dude, I had enough money. I could have retired and been happy on Pokemon cards. Pokemon cards, Tim. Pokemon cards that came out 15, 20 years ago.
Okay, now, Dave.
And now I'm brokenhearted.
I want to give you a little bit of a happy, not literally a happy ending at the end of the story, because it is kind of a dirty addition.
Use a happy ending, please.
Let me put a little bit of a smile back on that frowny face. Are you ready for this? Part of the gist of that story about trading cards and the fact that they have jumped by 4 to 5 times their value. Here's what'll make you sick. Part of that story was that there is an 18-year-old kid who is choosing not to go to college because he is a millionaire, almost a billionaire right now based on trading cards. And yes, has cards in his room that are worth almost $500,000 at this point. Surrounded by them, by the way. Little bastard got lucky. But here's the thing, Dave, and this is what you will be amazed by. And one of the things that turned these markets around, not only trading cards, but also comic books, was the pandemic. When people got shut in, they had to have little bits and pieces of things of entertainment, and people decided to start collecting again. And the values on these things started to go up. So what I wanted to tell you was, yes, there is now value in those long boxes. Again,
I'll have to look into it. I have had a couple of people asking about them.
I'll tell you this. Contact my buddy Tim up there at Granite City Comics, and he'll give you a more than fair price for those issues. So,
boy, yeah, I've got great stuff. It's been years. It's just, but that was heartbreaking. Isn't it funny though? Pokemon cards. That's the thing that went crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Oh,
what does that have to do with true crime? Well, it's a crime that I lost all that money, folks. There you go. There's my tie-in. Hey, we're going to Florida for this next one. A former accounts manager for a nonprofit affiliated with the University of South Florida's medical school has pleaded guilty to embezzling almost $13 million, Tim.
Ooh.
Spending most of it at an adult website. I just want you to let that sink in. He embezzled $13 million and spent most of it on an adult website. Oh. How could there be anything left of your manhood? If you spend $13 million on viewing porn, it's got to be whittled down to a nub.
If that.
The Tampa Bay Times reports that Ralph Puglisi, 59, is facing up to 20 years in prison under the deal, which was recently filed in Tampa's federal court. Puglisi had worked for the University Medical Service Association, which provides staffing and support for USF Health and other medical providers in the Tampa Bay area. According to court documents, Puglisi spent almost $12 million as an adult website that allows users to subscribe to channels belonging to specific women who disrobe and engage in sex acts live on video. An investigation showed that Puglisi subscribed to a channel belonging to his stepson's fiance.
Oh, no.
And they split almost $750,000 in profits, with Puglisi taking 60%. The investigative team developed a working theory that Puglisi worked either with the principals of the adult content provider or with the female profiles of the adult content provider in order to financially benefit from funds charged, according to prosecutors. The Times says Puglisi is also accused of making $647,000 in payments to a limited liability company he owned with his wife, plus other expenditures, including $374,000 for personal travel, $191,000 in rent for a family member, and $120,000 on household improvements. The fraud was detected in November, leading to the firing of Puglisi, his boss, and University Medical Service Association internal auditor. In a statement, USF and UMSA have implemented enhanced control structures, including upgrading financial reporting systems to better protect against criminal acts. The university has sued Puglisi and has filed an injunction prohibiting him from selling any property purchased with the embezzled funds. Puglisi's attorney, Anthony Rickman, said in a statement that his client is cooperating and is taking steps to make restitution. How do you make restitution for $37 million? Has he been embezzling from somebody else?
That's a good question.
What the schmitz?
But the old saying is, if a mouse pops his head out of the hole, that's generally not the only mouse that's in the house. Maybe there is other sources of income, and that's just one, and they're really investigating to see where the other sources are.
Good God. Well, Newsweek has an interesting story. A man commits a drive-by hawking. He throws a deadly bird out of a moving car.
Okay.
Drive-by hawking.
Yeah, I was going to say, you said drive-by hawking. I think of something else.
Yeah, well, a man armed with a deadly hawk has been launching it out of windows of his car in drive-by attacks that he uses to kill other birds. The owner of the bird of prey has shared 2 clips to TikTok as he films himself throwing the winged hunter from a moving car. The first clip, shared to his account, was uploaded on Sunday and was simply captioned, "First day out with the bird this season." TikTok added a warning to the video, watched more than 1 million times and able to be seen anywhere. Now, the action in the video could result in serious injury, but a follow-up shared on Monday has caused an even bigger stir on the social media site, amassing more than 14 million views. The bird handler, thought to be in the UK, captioned the video, "Couple of kills today." He later confirmed it is a Harris hawk. It shows him sitting in the passenger side of a vehicle as someone films him while they drive around residential areas. Children, Tim, can be seen running around a playground and using swings in the background as he launches this deadly bird out of the car. As the owner spies prey, he launches the hawk out of the open window from the perch on his left arm, clad in a thick safety glove. It swoops down, attacks the unsuspecting animal with its razor-sharp talons. Almost immediately, the car stops and the owner jumps out and runs over to the hawk, possibly to retrieve the hunter in case it flies away. It's not clear what exact species of bird the hawk is going for, although they appear to be small blackbirds. The footage was met with shock online as people question whether the bird could hurt a person, while others question the legality of this practice altogether. Answering one query, the handler confirmed in the comments, "This hawk was trained by my 12-year-old brother. It knows what to go for and what not to go for. It will not harm children." Falconry, which encompasses the keeping and training of falcons or other birds of prey, as well as the sport of hunting with such birds, is legal in the UK under certain conditions. Yes, those certain conditions being the time travel to the Dark Ages, when that would be acceptable, I would guess.
Well, yeah. This sounds like an SNL skit.
Yeah, it does.
"This was trained by my 12-year-old brother."
Anyone wishing to take part must obtain a license from the government to kill wild birds in the course of falconry, which includes the Eurasian sparrowhawk, Harris hawk, and goshawk. The license granting the hunting wild birds for sport allows birds such as skylarks, starlings, magpies, rooks, and feral pigeons to be killed. The owner stated in the comments, "Next videos, we should have a seagull," which is one of the species listed, classified as the common gull. However, the legality surrounding hunting from a moving vehicle is a bit more unclear, and it is not known whether the hawk has still been met with shock online, legal or not, as people just brand it wrong. Johnny asked, "Why is this a drive-by with birds?" Matt admitted, "Never in my life did I think I would see a drive-by falconry." Howeezy said, "Dude has an attack hawk." And Deanne thought, "Crows? Nope, that's wrong." What a crazy ass deal. A drive-by hawking. The guy's just unleashing a killer hawk to go destroy other birds right in like residential areas.
It takes a special kind of person. Yeah.
Well, we're going to go from killing of birds to KFC, Tim. It seemed like a natural progression for the stories.
Well, after you kill them, you got to fry them.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
Well, Tim, more fast food hijinks. A woman has been arrested after reportedly brandishing a gun at staff working at KFC drive-thru in Memphis. Deona Harris, 28, has been charged with 3 counts of aggravated assault following the incident, which took place on Sunday evening at a branch of the fast food chain located at the 1600 block of Union Avenue. Harris is alleged to have thrown a drink at a KFC employee before then pulling out a firearm, pointing it at several workers and bystanders at the drive-thru. Now, according to Fox 13, Harris also had a drink thrown on her in retaliation just prior to her brandishing the gun. Now, Memphis police were called and arrived on the scene just before 9 p.m. Harris has subsequently arrested after officers found a 9mm Ruger handgun in the Dodge Challenger she was driving. According to the police, she was upset at how long they were taking over her order. Harris is currently out on bond pending another court date on August 24th. The arrest comes just a month from a similar incident in Texas, which we reported on, where two people were arrested on suspicion of pulling a gun on a manager at a McDonald's after getting into a dispute about having salt on their fries. So it turned into brandishing a weapon after an assault on their fries, Tim. An assault on their fries.
I see what you did there. Did you know throwing a drink in someone's face, especially if they're a stranger, is a simple form of assault?
I do. I learned that the hard way.
Yeah, it's isn't that weird?
Yeah, it is. Well, yeah. I understand that it's embarrassing, humiliating, and can cause carbonation to the eyes, and nobody likes that.
What if it's a non-carbonated drink?
I don't know. Davion Gilroy, 23, and Treyeka Cohen, 25, were charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon following the incident at a McDonald's restaurant. Officers from Harris County Precinct 4 became aware of the dispute after being flagged down outside the restaurant while passing by. So, in another incident, which occurred back in October of 2020, a man opened fire at a KFC drive-thru in Tennessee after he was given the wrong order. The man initially drove off after receiving his food, only to later return and demand a refund after being given incorrect items. A cashier handed over his money, but as the man pulled away, he began firing shots at the building. Hey, listen, folks, I am like you. I put my pants on one leg at a time. I put my shoes on inside out, just like all of you. But I got to say, Tim, I do understand the frustration of going to a fast food restaurant where they're making $15 to $16 an hour plus hiring bonuses. Mm-hmm. I never get a damn order right. Never. And when I call to complain, I'm promised coupons and free food, and they're going to mail it out to me, and I never get them. As a matter of fact, I'm almost reticent to give my address for them to mail it to because I'm fearful that some crazy ass employee is going to come shoot my house up because I complained to their boss because I didn't get the right condiments or the right food that I ordered. But it is frustrating, especially when you and I worked for 8 years. 8 years. Mm-hmm. 5 nights a week, 3 hours a night for $10.65 an hour. Yeah. You can go work at McDonald's, Burger King, KFC, Arby's, White Castle for $15 an hour, and you don't even have to get your job done right.
Oh, we got the order right every night. And
I know we did.
Yeah.
But that was for $10 an hour.
Yeah.
Well, Tim, South Carolina hands a beer to KFC and says, "Here, hold my beer. We've got a story to beat your KFC tail." South Carolina man has been arrested for allegedly giving of all the things that you would think of, right? If I say a man was arrested at a McDonald's and there was a child involved, you think something horrible, like, followed the child into the bathroom, something horrible, right?
Why would you take a child to White Castle?
I'm just saying, at McDonald's.
Okay.
But this is the story. It was nothing in the bathroom nefarious like that, Tim. This is like, as a matter of fact, the least likely thought that I would have about, did you hear about the guy that was arrested at McDonald's with the kid? You have so many different thoughts that cross your mind. This one would never have crossed my mind. A South Carolina man has been arrested for allegedly giving a child a face tattoo at a McDonald's restaurant. Brandon Prescia, 28, of Lawrence, South Carolina, is charged with illegal tattooing and underage tattooing after police learned that a minor received a tattoo. The alleged incident happened at a McDonald's in Lawrence, located in northwest South Carolina, on August 6th. Authorities were tipped off that a man had tattooed a child's face at the restaurant after a customer filmed the incident and posted a video on social media. Investigators identified the suspected unlicensed tattoo artist as Prescia. He was arrested Tuesday. In our restaurants, nothing is more important to us than the safety and well-being of our customers and employees, McDonald said in a statement to Fox News. The conduct reported is not in line with the values of our organization. This is something you'd find at Wendy's, they say. No, they didn't.
Well, yeah,
actually.
Yeah.
Or in line with our expectations for how restaurants should be run. Now, again, tattooing a child's face at a White Castle at 2 a.m, that would be something I would expect to hear happen because, White Castle. But this is just so bizarre. Well, what do you like? Yeah, I'm going to be doing tattoos this week. You can meet me over at the far left booth at McDonald's. I'll be doing them there.
Dave, I think it's absolute marketing genius, and McDonald's ought to jump on this. I think My First Jail Tattoo Happy Meal would be huge. I think they could be awesome. Yeah.
My First Prison Tattoo Happy Meal. I do like that.
Yeah.
Precia's being held at the Lawrence County Detention Center. Chief Chrissy Lattimore told WIS-TV, Wiz TV, Tim.
Oh, yeah.
Precia's bond. How much do you think it cost him to tattoo a boy's face at a McDonald's restaurant?
Well, I'm thinking if he tattooed the bail officer, he could probably get out pretty cheap. I'm going to go, just see, tattooing a minor, probably $1,500.
$25,000.
Oh,
$25,000.
Can I mention something real quick, and I'll let you get back to the story?
Please.
I got a note from somebody this past week who said, Tim, you're really good at knowing the price of how much drugs are on the street, but you're horrible at bail amounts. On True Crime Tuesday. And
interesting.
You know what I told him?
What's that?
I said, because OGs are great about knowing the street value of stuff, and they do bids. They don't do bail.
Right. They never get caught. Good ones.
That's right. So I wouldn't know what a bail price was.
Our final disgruntled customer story of the week, Tim, goes to an impatient customer waiting to buy beer. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
An impatient customer, tired of waiting to buy beer, pulled a gun and then shot a store clerk multiple times in the groin, according to High Point police. The identity of the victim has not been released, but police say he is in stable condition at Wake Forest University Baptist Medical Center in Winston-Salem. High Point is about 80 miles northeast of Charlotte. Mario Antonio Harrison, 52, of High Point, is a suspect in the shooting, and he was arrested August 8th by Lexington police officers. Officials said in a release, Harrison is charged with attempted first-degree murder and possession of firearm by felon, officials said. The incident happened at about 10 p.m. on July 31st at the Apple Tree Grocery on High Point's East Green Drive. Preliminary investigation revealed that 2 black males were impatient. They didn't want to wait to pay for their beer at the cash register. They went into the beer cooler to persuade another employee to just take their money, and when he refused, they began shooting. The 30-year-old victim suffered multiple gunshot wounds to the groin and legs. Surveillance video of the shooting was shared by police on Facebook. It shows 2 men enter, 1 man leave. Isn't that the old Thunderdome story?
Yes, it is.
2 men enter the cooler and talk to the clerk, and then they return to exit. One pulls a gun from his waistband. He turns and fires multiple times in the direction of the clerk. The victim is seen hunching forward from the impact and grabs his crotch. Oh, God.
Yep.
He's under $1 million bond. Finally, I think they got it right, Tim.
Yeah.
You shoot a man in the groin, $1 million is what it's going to take to get you out.
At least.
You know what it takes to hear the rest of this episode? $5 if you are not a Stitcher Premium subscriber. That's right, $5 is all it takes to subscribe. And if you go to Stitcher Premium to subscribe, just use code word Darkness Radio for deep discount savings, and you're going to enjoy it. Because again, not only do you get Darkness Radio and True Crime Tuesday commercial free, but you get all of the great programs under Stitcher Premium's umbrella, and there are hundreds of thousands of hours to go listen to. So take it. It's well worth your time, $5 an hour to get our shows commercial free and all the other shows. Thank you for tuning in this week, and we will be back next week with True Crime Tuesday. We hope you enjoyed today's program of True Crime Tuesday. And remember, if you'd like the full episode with the Dumb Crime Stupid Criminals aspect, all you have to do is go over and subscribe now for Stitcher Premium. Use code word Darkness Radio, all one word, to get some deep discount savings for your 1-year subscription, and it will give you access to all of our archives from Darkness Radio. There's over 1,000 episodes up and available and more being added constantly. You get all of the episodes of True Crime Tuesday, and you get all of the other great programs that are part of Stitcher. Hundreds of thousands of hours of programming for $5 a month, commercial free. You can't beat that, so don't even try. Go subscribe now, and remember to use keyword Darkness Radio for those key savings.